My hair doesn't know what it wants to do today. Rude. I probably got about an hour, hour and a half. I thought I would come and do the Politi couch. I've missed you guys so much. Hey, Destiny, how are you, darling? I have missed you guys, and with our recent information releases about immigration and how immigrants hurt pretty much everywhere that they immigrate to unless they meet certain categories. I just thought it was really interesting, and immigration is not something I've covered here before. We've done lots of abortion and other topics, but not immigration, so I figured we could go ahead and argue over that, maybe make a couple new friends, who knows. Hope you're well, Destiny. Hello and welcome. Of course, I'm also going to have all the sources from anything I'm speaking about today. I've got a whole list of them already. I'm going to have them in the description. I've got 5 or 6 links in there for anybody that feels like arguing about it, as some people do on the internet. We've got these very interesting studies that have been released recently. The SCAP, SCAAP, released one that I find really interesting. I cannot remember what that stands for. Oh, it's in here somewhere. Hope everybody's doing well today. Yeah, isn't that the truth? Let me give us some information. Oh, hi! Oh, Leah as well today. How are you? Everybody's ats. It's doing the at thing again. I don't know how to make it not do that. It sure has. It's been a really crazy couple of weeks getting the kiddos ready for Halloween and all their Halloween upcoming events and things. It's been a lot going on. How have you been? Hope everyone has been so well. I've got all my information pulled up and ready. Just finished my second cup of coffee, which I desperately needed. Actually, if you'll give me 2 seconds, I will be right back. I'm right here. I just needed a quick wardrobe change because it is getting warm in the house. I think I'm going to have to open the doors or something. Whew. It is warming up, I tell you what. I have returned. So, pardon me, my allergies have been terrible. Let me see here. Oh, there we are. Okay. So, I was watching a Steven Crowder episode, actually, yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, I think it was yesterday. And I know a lot of people, including conservatives, absolutely hate him because apparently he's mean to his wife. I've seen a few of the videos. It is what it is, you know. He kind of seems like he was a dick to her, at least at one point. Yeah, you know. A new kitchen. That sounds fun. Did you need an update? Is it an older house? Did you just want a nicer kitchen? Spill the deets. I love a new kitchen. I love those really, really deep, like farmhouse kitchen sinks, if you know what I mean. They're like really, really deep. But I don't like them when it just has the one deep like pan in the sink because I'm a weirdo. I like to be able to separate and like wash dishes in one and rinse them off in another because, you know, I don't know, I'm just a brat, I guess. I suppose. Need to get some of my Halloween earrings out. That'll be next. Oh, I did just have a pair. There's probably quite a few new people here, or somewhat new, that don't even know I make jewelry. Maybe I'll show you some jewelry here in a minute. I don't know where my one little thing went. I took some allergy medicine, but I'm still a little snivelly. Made these recently. Well, not recently. This was a couple months ago, I guess. I don't know if I'm gonna dress up. I might do something really simple. They're cute. I'll take them. Yeah, so I was watching some Steven Crowder yesterday, and there's some info. He's really good. See, this is the thing about Steven Crowder, right? A lot of people dislike him because he's mean to his wife, right? When it comes to right wing pundits, personalities, political activists, commentators, whatever you want to call him, he's one of the most honest, right? He's the one that told us when everybody on the right was saying George Floyd robbed a pregnant woman. No, actually, he held a woman at gunpoint outside of her home where there was a toddler inside, which is terrible enough, but let's not lie about it, right? So when it comes to, you know, checking sources and actually making sure we're getting information that's correct, I trust. Hey, Justin. Hi, darling. We are well. I trust Steven Crowder more than a lot of other people on the right, even. Just being honest, because I'm kind of suspicious by nature. Never needed to upgrade it, but my neighbor was getting a new bathroom. Wanted to one up it. We love that. We love petty around here. Not to the point of actually hurting people unless they might deserve it, but we love a petty king or queen. We love that. And yes, I was just saying we were getting caught up on their whole thing. They've got a whole spirit week coming up. They've got a candy corn carnival at school, and I made a basket for Serenity's class to give away, and got materials for Alex's because they're making one big one instead of a few smaller ones, and it's been a whole thing. I've been going, and I really need to be doing 15 other things this morning, but I just miss you guys. And I wanted to come and say hi. And I just wanted to talk about this because this is something that I've talked about very briefly. We've never had an episode about it. We've never had a little Politi couch discussion about it. But we've hit on immigration a few other times in different discussions. And I've always said, hey, look, we want the right kind of immigrants, and that's not xenophobic or racist or terrible like some people like to claim. We want immigrants that are going to help our society, right? If they cost our society or they tax our social or welfare programs, then they're a net drain, a net negative to our society, and that's not the right type of immigrant. It's not about skin color or religious affiliation or even their own beliefs politically, religiously, any of that. Although there's something to be said for the fact that radical Islamic immigrants and some of the Mexican cartel, that type of radical, it's not about a faith so much as a people, right? Oh, hi, Tennessee sister. How are you? Miss your face. Hope you're well. So good to see you. Many different Nicaraguan, that was the MS-13, were Nicaraguan, I think, or Venezuelan, one or the other. People can be radicalized, whether it's by their own society, by their religious beliefs, by their political beliefs. They get radicalized, right? And they come to these United States and come here illegally, and then they're eating the cats and dogs, right? And everybody's like, oh my gosh, it's so ridiculous, that never happened. But, I mean, that's something that's been fact-checked 100 times, and we know that there were instances of this happening in Ohio, at least, right? And other areas that were posting videos all over social media. But regardless, I think it hints to the bigger problem, which is a refusal to assimilate, quote-unquote fit in, right? They don't want to learn the language. They don't want to kind of try and at least mimic some of their customs. They just want to come here and live here like they live over there. And my thing, sorry, it just says add a Q&A sticker. Let's add a Q&A. Let's do it. Oh, hello. Hi, Paige. welcome in. And this is a problem. A lot of people like to pretend that it's not, right? But um, I think that we all, as Americans, are already divided enough with the political climate, right? Look at any of the major issues: immigration, abortion, um, any of these healthcare, any of these things that impact us as a nation, we're already divided on. The last thing that we need is for, people from anywhere else in the world. Like I said, it doesn't matter if it's Mexico, France, I don't care. It's not about race, it's not about religion. It's about the values, right? If anyone comes over that is fundamentally disagreeing with what I believe should be conservative American values, then that harms our society, right? Because they don't believe they have to act in a way that is in accordance with American values or respect the American laws. And we know this from the very beginning, the fact that they come here illegally, right? This whole, oh, but illegal immigrants that don't commit crimes, XYZ, that's a fallible statement from the beginning. These illegal immigrants are in fact federal felons for coming in illegally, right? U.S. code was it 70166? I have to look up the exact U.S. code, but there's in fact a U.S. code that makes border entry without permission illegal. It's not, everybody's like, oh, it's civil, oh, it's a civil infraction, but no, it is indeed not a civil infraction. We'll start there. And welcome in, welcome in. Glad to see you guys this morning. I'm looking. (1911) at U.S. 1325, unlawful entry, failure to deport, or fleeing immigration. It has three parts, right? 1911 USC 1325. That is what makes entering the country illegal. So from the very beginning, obviously, these are people who, I will call you back. I have a stepmom call coming in. And then on top of this, we've said this for years, right? Conservatives have been saying this for years, and the liberals would actually like you to believe somehow that illegal immigrants actually commit less crimes, right? They've been trying to push this narrative for years, and we know unequivocally now that that's a lie. Absolutely no question. 6% of the UK population are illegals, and they're responsible for 65 to 70% of the crimes. Boils my blood. Amen. And have you seen all the protests and things that are happening in the UK? That's absolutely insane. And it even is happening here with a lot of the... Okay, this is another thing. When you have immigrants that come from a different place, they tend to make small communities, right? Like the legal Italians did in certain parts of New York, right? Except they're illegal immigrants. And a lot of the gangs do this. Muslims do this. They come together in large neighborhoods. This is where you hear over the U.S. there are calls to prayer at different times throughout the day because there's enough of a Muslim population to, have their own structures and do the call to prayer and all this. And I'm not even going to go on a thing about if that's right or wrong to be happening in the U.S. because we do have religious freedom here, and that's something that's afforded to citizens. However, if you're not a citizen... This is another thing. A lot of liberals would like to argue with me about the rights that illegal citizens have, but I'd really, really like for us to hone in on the fact that our rights are granted to us by our Constitution, praise God and praise the Founding Fathers, but those are rights guaranteed to our citizens, right? Those are not rights guaranteed to every Tom, Dick, Sarah, and Sally that wants to come across the border, legally or not, right? These are rights fundamentally we as Americans get to enjoy, not every single person that wants to come visit, rightfully or not. So that's first, A lot of people like to say, oh, well, they didn't get due process. This whole due process thing, it blows my mind, y'all. Can we just for a moment pretend, right, that we understand we are lucky and blessed to be Americans, and that if we go anywhere else in the world, right, there is a large likelihood if we go into that country illegally, we're going to be sent right back home. If we're lucky, if they don't shoot us in the street, okay? There are many countries in the world where you won't make it home. So there's that. Oh, hi, Salt. How you doing, Corey? Oh, my goodness. I'm dropping everything. Good morning. Good morning. Hello. Thank you for stopping in. And I always enjoy you joining me. Corey's one of our good conservative friends, and check him out. He goes to the Lower Mesa River Salt River in Mesa, Arizona, and squirts people, and it's hilarious. They caring about it. We absolutely love it. We love to see it. Here, I've been historically too busy. Here, hold on. Where'd you go? Give a few of these back. I went no mods forever ago and just never gave anybody back. Good morning, so good to see you, darling. Good morning, good morning. Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. We could talk about that. Like, I see all kinds of videos on social media, people posting saying exactly the same thing. Like, oh my gosh, it's so annoying. You know, like, we're in America. This is not what I want to hear. I don't know. That's kind of a touchy issue. I'm still kind of debating that in and amongst myself, because that's one of those things where, like I just said, as a U.S. citizen, you know, we're guaranteed the right to our religion and our religious practices, right? However, are they checking IDs at the door? Do we know these are legal citizens? Should they be? Not exactly. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm just suggesting, how is it that we know these people are indeed citizens anyway? This is my point. But anyway, so on to the conversation of numbers, right? We've been saying for years what we already knew to be true, which is that I don't have any coffee left in there. Nobody told me. That they have been committing crimes, hurting our neighborhoods, hurting our country. And of course, the left would love for you to believe that illegal immigrants are less dangerous somehow than legal immigrants or than U.S. citizens. And I've heard some people say, basically, they don't want to get caught up in ICE, so they're not going to be committing any crimes. Right, because we can trust the morals and ethics of somebody who came here, and their first act here was literally to break our laws. That's what we should do. This first thing that I'm reading from, it's a study, a compilation of information, if you will, not a study. And it was compiled using, this is what it stands for, the State Criminal Alien Assistance Program, a few years of their data, right? And this is also, I think, the first or second thing. It'll say SCAAP in the link. That I have linked in the description. I'll put all this down there for you so you can check it yourself, check the sources. We all want to be informed. And in order for them to come to these conclusions, they analyzed SCAP's data and compared it to public records in state and local prisons. They analyzed 5 states. 5? No, wait. Arizona, California, Florida, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Texas, and Washington. 10 states. They analyzed 10 states. And they picked these 10 states because the majority of the legal population in the U.S. lives within these states. Individually, they all have significant, dense illegal alien populations, like I was said, in small communities when they group together. That's a common thing. And they consistently reported to SCAP, therefore have the most reliable and complete data. So I suppose these 10 states were chosen because they report to SCAP, which, why would they report to SCAP, right? This is a question I ask myself too. Well, as we read on, we find that they get reimbursed. I'm trying to find... Oh, and this isn't even all of the crime, right? This report does not cover illegal aliens who have been convicted of federal crimes and are serving time in the Federal Bureau of Prisons. It also does not include illegal aliens incarcerated for committing immigration-related crimes, such as illegal reentry, or welfare fraud, or identity theft. So, and those are going to be a whole lot of the immigrants that they're catching, you know, especially now, are the ones that they're in trouble just for re-entering or entering illegally. This is literally just... This particular study is only illegal immigrants who have committed other crimes, not related in any way to any of the things I just mentioned, any type of immigration related, immigration adjacent crime, right? So that's not identity theft, that's not stealing social security numbers, it's not illegal reentry, that's robbery, assault, etc., right? So we see, and like I said, I've linked this in, I know it's going to be backwards. I've linked this in the description for you, but we have incarceration rates by state covered in this report. So the red is illegal aliens and the blue was citizens or lawful immigrants. So it turns out to be, for California, I'm going to tell you the percentage of citizens or lawful immigrants incarcerated, the percentage of illegal aliens, and then how much more likely than citizens or lawful immigrants, illegal immigrants are to be incarcerated. That's how I'm going to tell you this table, right? So in California, it's 0.482% of legal immigrants or citizens, 1.594% of illegal aliens. So they're 231 times more likely to be incarcerated. In Texas, I won't tell you all the numbers. I'll just go to the percentage. In Texas, 60%, Florida, 78%, New York, 187%, Arizona, 301%, Washington, 248%, Nevada, 161%, Oregon, 267%, and New Mexico, 42%. More likely, illegal immigrants are to be incarcerated than legal immigrants or lawful citizens, right? So those are pretty big numbers. I don't think anybody can disagree with that. And we have also, as of, I think this would have been 2024, not 2025, but I could be wrong about that. But it's our most recent statistics from SCAP, right? And as of now, the counted immigrants, illegal immigrants in California are, get ready, 2,646,000. Texas, 1,858,000. Florida, 957,000. New York, 873,000. New Jersey, 563,000. Arizona, 366,000. Washington, 282,000. Nevada, 236,000. Oregon, 146,000. And New Mexico, 96,000, which is in total over 8 million illegal immigrants just in these 10 states. Just in these 10 states, okay? Yep. Yeah, this is exactly what it and it bears out, actually, that in Arizona, it's worse than any other of these 10 states. It seems that in Arizona, illegals are, I'm looking at, or I'm sorry, no, New Jersey's the only one that's worse. But it looks like other than New Jersey, illegal immigrants are almost twice as likely to commit crime than anywhere else in the U.S. other than New Jersey. Because New Jersey is 440% more likely. In Arizona, it's 301%. So that's actually insane. I'm really happy that we finally have some, I feel like legal should be given hard labor. Hey, look, here's my thing. I feel like we need stricter punishments, period. I feel like deporting people, especially if you have illegally re-entered. Entering once is one thing. Not okay, but that's one thing. I feel like if you're going to illegally re-enter, like you've already been kicked out, you're getting kicked out again, I feel like it should be something. I don't feel like we should maybe incarcerate them or just deport them on our dime, because that still costs their taxpayers money. Maybe hard labor is and then of course everybody on the left goes, oh, slave labor and blah blah blah, well, listen, for too long America has been soft on what are supposed to be our biggest safety policies and laws, right? Immigration laws are here to protect us. They do the same thing the lock on your front door does, right? Our immigration policies are supposed to keep people out that don't belong here, right? A lot of people on the left want to argue everyone belongs here and everyone's human, right? Everyone's human, which is why they have human rights. Everyone in the world is not American, and then therefore they are not American citizens that deserve American civil liberties. I'll fight anybody on that. That's the hill I'm willing to die on. It absolutely blows my mind that after all we're seeing, like, in so many stories, the media, the mainstream media, has been forced to run because citizen journalists and random people on TikTok or YouTube Live show things off, like how the mainstream media completely ignored Irina Zarutska. Is that how you say it? I hope that's how you say her last name. R.I.P. How the main media totally ignored her story for like 8 days until so many people reported on it they couldn't ignore it anymore, right? Because they don't want to show that this is in fact consistent. It's consistent that these people are messing up our system and our country, you know? If I was an American, I would definitely come here by any means necessary. Why wouldn't I? So I understand people coming over, yet it doesn't make it right. And I completely agree, right? I agree that, thank God I'm an American, right? I can't imagine being born or living anywhere else in the world. However, I feel like, look, I get it. I do. As someone with children, I would do absolutely anything to keep my children safe, right? But there was a study that was literally just, it was like Texas border towns, a certain amount of immigrants. I'll have to find that and put that in the description as well. That was like something like 13% of people were only claiming asylum for political or religious persecution or violence. They were only 13% of the people in Texas that were coming over that were polled. Only 13% of them said that it was their physical safety that was in danger. Okay? This is one of those issues, like with the 2% of abortions that are from the exceptions, rape, incest, life of the mother, etc. I feel like there could be some grace granted, but I feel like that's also what the point of asylum is. You know, you're supposed to come here, claim asylum, you're supposed to go through the system, and then the system's also broken, right? Even the most hardcore people against illegal immigration still realize and recognize that we need to fix the immigration system. It's not by any means perfect. It's not where it should be. It should be easier. And I know Trump has recently done quite a few things to make it a little more difficult. I kind of feel like where we are right now in this moment of time, I understand it. And a lot of people are going to be upset with me about that. I feel like if you're going to host Thanksgiving for your whole family, right? You're going to have all these guests come into your home, and you have 3 days to clean your house up and get it ready for this event. You're not going to spend those 3 days deciding to go spend the weekend with your sister and help her organize her entire house for no reason. She's not going to have guests. She just wants it to be clean, just out of the kindness of your heart, to come home to a shit wreck and invite your whole family in, right? I feel like we need to get our shit together before we try and help other people. It's the same thing with put your oxygen mask on first, right? In order to be able to help others, we have to help ourselves first. And the other systems that are broken include our own system, you know, the American healthcare system, the way that we take care of our vets, the way that we treat our homeless, all of these systems, the adoption and foster care system, all of these systems are already super messed up. The welfare system is taxed and strained beyond anything of our understanding before immigrants, right? Before we can be Captain Save-A-Ho to the whole world, right? We've got to save our own citizens first. That's what I believe. I am America first, 100%. That's not to say we can't help other people. That's to say that we should be worried about our own people first. That's the way that it's supposed to be, and it's the way the entire rest of the world acts. Nobody else is worried about saving us before themselves. I wonder how many of them entering illegally are actually a family with kids and not just fighting age males coming on their own. That's a statistic I could look up. Although I do know that they are majority military age men. Heavy majority. Part of that is because a lot of women and children don't make it alive because of sex trafficking. And they don't report for any type of services because they're indentured servants, usually sex slaves, until they can repay their debt. And this is a real thing that happens. This is another reason a lot of conservatives are so hardcore against illegal immigration. It's not just like, NIMBY, not in my backyard. It's not just that, Ron, hi darling, so good to see you. Welcome in, welcome in. It's not just the fact that we don't want people coming in and messing up our society and our country, which they are, and we know this, thanks to this new information. Oh my gosh, hey, Adipin, how you doing, darling? Welcome in, welcome in. So glad to see you. Welcome, welcome. But it's also the fact that when these people come over, they're not treated well because they're not going through the legal system. These people are taken advantage of, and women and children, but yes, also men. They're taken advantage of, they're sold into slavery, they're drugged, they're murdered, they're assaulted. These people are not treated well, right? Because nobody's tracking them. Because when you illegally migrate into a country, nobody knows you're coming, nobody knows to expect you. So if you just disappear, nobody knows, right? And these people are being treated in heinous ways. And I think that all these people, these coyotes, these immigration fighters, the gang members basically that are helping these people come in, we need to RICO every one of them and line them up for public execution. That's my personal opinion, right? Because these are people that are engaging in war crimes, for one. Donald Trump has declared war. This is war on our country by all these violent gangs and illegals that are coming into our country, and I don't blame them. It is a war, in my own personal opinion. I agree, first of all. So, they're war crimes, right? These people are raping and murdering women and children and men and throwing them out in the desert, and what can we do about that, right? The same thing I think we should do to people who do those types of things here in our country. Let's line them up. Let's take them down. You can put it on Sunday night, right after football. Kids are going to be asleep, but all the adults can see. And everybody can see, hey, look, they're not messing around. And, they can send it to all their friends who are thinking about coming over and crossing. And they say, hey, I don't know who's going to bring me now. Because here we are, and now all these coyotes are being, taken out. And how are we going to do that? And I mentioned RICO because this is such an organized system. These coyotes that bring these people over. Thank you, Ron. Thank you so much. There's a hierarchy. It's an organization. It's organized, right? And this is something that's been happening many, many years, 100 years, I don't know, however many years, decades. And these people are responsible for so much death and destruction. And they are the main reason. If you take out all the coyotes, how are people going to come in illegally, right? They would have no choice but to literally walk right over the border. And these coyotes, a lot of times, are the ones who find the routes, show them where to go, etc. So they're just going to have to get a map and try and wing it, right? So not only are you going to take away these people who are harming people, but you're also going to take away the easiest way for these people to come illegally, right? Not to say, and also, there's boating, there's a way people come over on cargo ships. It's not like the only people who come illegally planes. It's not like they just walk over, but that's a large majority, right? So I feel like if we could catch these people that are racketeering murder, organized crime units of savages, I think that would solve a whole lot of the problem right there. My own personal opinion. A lot of people think I'm a little too cold-hearted about that. I don't really care. People call me lots of names, so that's not anything new to me. Welcome in, Brother Sackcloth and Ron. So glad to see you. They also call me racist. Y'all can tell me if I'm racist, please. My brothers Sackcloth and Ron. Am I just a racist, terrible white girl? You let me know. Okay, I was saying earlier how they get reimbursed. I hear people I thought they're doing construction. SCAP provides federal cash assistance to states and localities that incur correctional officer salary costs for incarcerating criminal illegal aliens. The program will reimburse state and local correctional authorities for verified illegal aliens, foreign nationals who have been definitively determined by ICE to be in the United States illegally. So, accordingly, SCAP reporting provides the best data currently available on illegal alien rates of incarceration because it provides information on individuals who have been arrested for criminal charges and who are known illegal aliens. So, this is what we were talking about earlier. Hi. I only see your @ tag, so I'm not sure who you are. If you drop your name, I'm sure I might recognize you, but if not, and if you're new, hi. My favorite white girlies. Thanks, Brother Sackcloth. I'll take that. I'll take that one. You guys weren't in here earlier. We were talking about the incarceration rates. So I won't go through all the numbers again, but this study from SCAP, oh, and it is in the description box. In the description box, I linked all my sources. I'm your favorite racist. I know the left uses these labels so freely and without any kind of discrimination that they lose all their meaning, right? And I just can't. I can't agree more. Completely agree. But yes, without actually reading every single number, but like I said, you can check it in the description box. In California, illegal aliens are 231% more likely to be incarcerated. In Texas, 60%. In Florida, 78%. In New York, 187%. In New Jersey, 440%. In Arizona, 301%. In Washington, 248%. In Nevada, 161%. In Oregon, 267%. And in New Mexico, 42%. More likely to be incarcerated than legal citizens, than lawful immigrants or citizens, right? So, 2019 FBI studies, I'm not sure if I've read that. I'll have to Google that and see if that's something I've been exposed to. These are numbers from SCAP, which is the, hold on, let me recall here, the state's Criminal Alien Assistance Program. This is it's a federal entity that reimburses the states when they incur costs by housing illegal immigrants. And this is the most reliable numbers. These are the most reliable numbers that we have so far, because I was saying, you may not have been here a few minutes ago, but I was explaining exactly why they're most reliable, and that is because they are verified aliens. In order to get money from SCAP, these state entities have to use ICE to confirm that these are in fact illegal aliens and that their status is not eligible for entry, and they have to have committed a crime not related to immigration. So they have to have committed a burglary, an assault, something like that. It can't be identity theft, theft of social security cards, illegal reentry. Those crimes are not even counted. And I feel like if they were, this number would be a whole lot higher, right? Because it's taking all those off the top. It wants to know how many illegal aliens are coming and then committing other separate crimes, which is why it's, in my opinion, the most reasonable and relevant data to this conversation, is because they made every concession. They said, we're not even going to count the immigration adjacent crimes, not even social security fraud or welfare fraud. We're not going to count any of that. We're not going to count illegal reentry, and we're going to make darn sure you're illegal before we count you in the study. So I'm going to have to look up the 2019 FBI studies, though. I am so allergic to life today. I apologize, y'all. So the conclusion of the study, I'm just going to read you this one part. Conclusion: in states with significant illegal alien populations, like the 10 that are on here, SCAP data indicates that illegal aliens are incarcerated at a much higher rate than citizens and lawfully present aliens, up to 5 times more frequently in some states. Critics may look at this data and point out that SCAP reporting includes both aliens who have been incarcerated pre-trial and post-trial. They will argue there is a strong likelihood many criminal aliens are counted twice, both before conviction and afterward, but this is a red herring. The overall conviction rates in the states where most illegal aliens live is high. Therefore, any assertions that illegal aliens may be arrested and detained at a higher rate than the rest of the population, but convicted at a lower rate, simply does not add up. So I like this because it also kind of goes for a couple of the arguments that lefties typically throw out. Like, oh, you're counting them twice. No, this is not. These are prison systems. This is not just local jails. These are people who have been indicted and convicted, not only arrested. So, oh, there is. I've been watching a lot of Candace about it. I would love that. Do you have my number? Did I ever get your number? We'll have to link up. I know Dave has your number, right? Maybe we can do a duel talking about it. It's lots of very interesting things. Very interesting, very fishy, you know. Candace has made some points. A lot of people are like, oh, she's just chasing clout, right? Oh my gosh, no. Hold on. Okay, I got it. Delete it. Delete it. Go away. Not that there's many people in here to start with. Oh, make it go away. Oh no. Okay. Just to keep you safe. There's like 4 people here with us, but you can't ever be too safe, okay? But I got it. I screenshotted it. But yes, I would love that. A lot of people are calling Candace lots of names as well. I do think she's very anti-Zionist. Erica's response was really weird. And it's funny because in the group chat, which includes Dave, I sent this video when she was doing her address to the nation, like 2 days after his passing. There was this moment, and it's still, I'll send it to you, where she was talking about how she came home and she had to tell her 2-year-old how daddy wasn't going to come home, right? And she was talking about that, and she said, we got home, when we came home, and then as soon as those words came out of her mouth, she said, when I came home. I'll send it to you, but that's how she acted. It was not like, oh, I messed up when I got home. That's how I would have reacted, right? It wasn't like an, oh, punch in the gut, like, ugh. And I sent it the night that she went live. This was something I noticed immediately because I've watched so many, like, body language experts, and I'm just a people watcher myself. I notice weird things about people. I don't know what it means. I'm no psychologist, but I know the way that she slipped with we instead of I, and that her response wasn't like, ugh, but it was like anger. She looked viscerally angry. She looked like she messed up. That was the look on her face to me. It looked like she was saying to herself, shit, I shouldn't have said that. Not like, oh, does that make sense? Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't disagree. You never know. I mean, he's been in the spotlight for a very long time. He sure has. I think when it comes to her being mournful or not being able to like carry on the show, etc., I feel like it's kind of weird, yet I also feel like if Charlie were here with us, right, he would say, like, I don't want her going all over TV and the internet crying her eyes out. I want her to stay strong and, you know, I'm fine anyway. I'm with the Lord. Like, he was such a faithful person. He would not want any of us crying for weeks on end about his passing because he's somewhere much better than here, right? However, as a human, imagining losing the father of my children and my partner, like, I don't know. Everybody grieves differently, so I'm not judging. Maybe I'm judging a little, but not in a harsh light. Not like she's not doing it right. That's not how I'm looking at it, but I'm looking at it like, I know a few people who don't think he's really dead. That's their opinion. They think he was kind of like it was a false flag type deal. My only problem with that theory would be to what end? Because we're not the left. We didn't burn down cities and like try and start a civil war, you know? So I don't know to what end that would be for. But I did not realize that. There's also those books that people have come out and claimed were AI that were written about his death like the day before that were on Amazon and now have mysteriously disappeared. there's lots of weird things about it. I feel like maybe we can do a little duel and talk about it, because there are lots of weird things, and I've been watching pretty much every Candace Owens episode about it. Um, because I'm telling you right now, like, and I've said it more than once, Lord forbid, if I ever die, if I ever get taken out, like murdered like that, y'all better be my Candace Owens friends, right? Y'all better be all over the fucking FBI and everybody else, like, bitch, we know what's really going on. Get it together, because I need a Candace Owens in my life. I sure do. Yeah, I also tend to believe that he's really gone. Then again, I I'm at a point in life, right, where I have seen so much in my lifetime. So much that the government has done, so much other human beings have done, so much evil, treachery, like smoke and mirrors, distraction, false flags, murdering our own. You go on and on and on, right? That I don't doubt hardly anything. Like, whether or not I truly believe it, or whether or not you could tell me and I'd be there's just not much I couldn't believe at this point. Like, if something were to come out that this were true or that were true, it would take a lot for me to not, have some frame of, I could believe it, just because there's been so much craziness and, like, what is really going on, right? So that's just where I'm at with it. I'm still awaiting some evidence. I know that we're also not going to get a lot of the evidence until the trial, at least until it's concluded, because, they have to keep some things under wraps. But, I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff. It is very deep. The rabbit hole is so deep. Like, how they just completely tore up and, like, concreted over that entire area, which was, to my understanding, a crime scene. Like, what? And how there was a trap door, like, right behind it. It's just, there's a lot. There's a whole lot. So, I don't know. I don't know anymore. I'm almost convinced this is all a matrix. That's where I'm at. If I didn't believe in God, I would be one of those people convinced we're in a matrix. And, like, whoever's in charge, right, is just, like, pushing every, like, oh, this'll fuck with them real good button every 2 seconds, just trying to fuck with us, because, like, how is any of this real life right now? It's just absolutely insane. But I think it's about time that I go. Like, perhaps. I so appreciate everybody for coming to hang out with me today. I planned on doing about 45 minutes or an hour, so we're right on time. I wanted to kind of have, and I might do a live a little bit more, like, prepared, where I've got all these screenshots where I, like, screen share and actually show you these sources, and some clips of things. And immigration isn't something I really care a whole lot to have deep discussions on, like the topic of abortion. I could talk about abortion all day. I could argue with people about it in the comments all day, because it's something I feel really, really passionate about. I mean, I'm passionate about it, I guess, but not as much. I always enjoy you being here, Corey. Thank you so much, as I enjoy you. And y'all, check out Corey. He squirts people. He talks with us. He makes prison burritos. He does lots of things. Abortion is murder. More than 1 million babies a year, I mean, that's like ritualistic mass murder. Like, demonic. It's demonic at this point. And, it's a whole lot. We've had recent conversations about that, and we're gonna have to, at some point, come to some type of consensus in our country, because, okay, so I'm gonna say on abortion, we're not gonna go on a whole long rant about it, but I'll say this. My biggest problem right now, other than the obvious of almost 1 million babies a year perishing, is that after Roe versus Wade was overturned, interstate travel and super, super dangerous telemed abortions, where you just video chat with a provider, they never scan you to make sure it's not an ectopic pregnancy that could literally kill you. They never take one look at you other than over a video screen, have become so common that abortion rates have actually risen rather than fallen, right? Which is incredibly sad and incredibly scary. Like, These telemed abortions, terrifying. There's already been several cases where interstate travel has gone wrong because when you leave a state to get an abortion procedure that is not legal in your own state, that's deeply going to interfere with your care once you get back to your state. And that's just logistics, right? Common sense. Yeah. A lot of people are accepting of abortion in our society. And what's really interesting is I have a few videos that I've gotten from like liveaction.com and createdequal.com. They have wonderful resources to have these types of conversations. Video animations of the procedures at every point in pregnancy and actual abortion photos. And those are really important tools, I think, because when you go out, I've been wanting to do some man on the street content, quote unquote, one man on the street. Like go and actually talk to people, maybe at one of our local campuses. I've been thinking about that a lot. And you can see a lot of these videos where people do that. They'll go up and they're like, how do you feel about abortion? And they're like, oh yeah, I support it, right? And then they show them these pictures or these videos of how the abortion procedure is actually performed. And within a minute video, their minds are completely blown and changed, because I do believe, at least I would like to believe, that a lot of the people who support abortion are lied to, whether it's men or women, right? Because these children are dehumanized by saying things like the fetus, the clump of cells. It's just a clump of cells, right? Even though we're also just a clump of cells. We're just older and bigger, right? So we use these they use these dehumanizing terms and try and make abortion into being just another healthcare procedure, right? And so even a lot of women who get abortions don't really truly understand. Like, once you're 5 to 6 weeks along, this baby has a heartbeat. Once you're 10 weeks along, this baby has fingernails and toenails. Like once you're 12 weeks along, this baby can recognize and respond to your voice. Once you're 15 to 16 weeks along, you'll feel this baby move. Like, exactly. I agree. Life does begin at conception. And so far, nobody's ever been able to make a convincing argument for anything else. And by the way, 97% of experts agree. Even extremely left-wing and extremely liberal, that word flew out of my head for a moment, even extremely liberal experts, 97% of all experts agree life begins at conception. Because the problem is, well, for one, that's when unique and separate DNA is created, and its own unique cell that divides amongst itself, aka its human living organism, is created. That's one. But for two, anytime you put the goalpost anywhere else, right? Anytime you say, no, it's 2 weeks, it's 6 weeks, it's 12 weeks, because X, Y, or Z, anytime you move the goalpost anywhere past conception, that goalpost is going to exclude born and living human beings, right? Some people say, no, it's when you're having a conscious experience. But a lot of people aren't having a conscious experience, here, that are born and that are older because of mental illness or any number of things, right? No, but it's when you are conscious, when you understand. It's self-perception. Again, a lot of born people don't have that. It's the ability to employ a conscious experience, something like Destiny speaks about. Yeah, but there are many, many born and grown human people who don't, in fact, have that ability, whether they're in a coma, whether they have some sort of illness or something. Like, any other goalpost past conception includes people walking around or laying down or in a coma out in the human world that they would vehemently disagree you could just take a gun and shoot them in the head. So why would you be able to kill a child? Just because they're smaller? So you're sizist. Because they're younger. So you're ageist. Like it's crazy. Right. That's the thing. A lot of liberals think somehow there's that spark where magically you become human sometime along the path of gestation, right? Sometime between conception and that 40 to 41 weeks, you become human. Sometime along that path. Nobody can really explain when it happens. Some people have their own perceptions of, and most people who are intellectually honest on the left will at least tell you, I can't pin it down, but I will tell you that I think it's wrong after X or after Y. But why? Because they must somehow think inherently that whatever that quality is what makes human life worth saving and living, right? And therefore, that tells you what type of terrible person they are, see? Because when they say it's your ability to reason or your ability to this or that, you know, first of all, any of those types of more complex arguments are ridiculous until after birth and even many years after birth. But when you say it's your ability to have a conscious experience, for example, you're telling me you don't care at all about human life that's already born, that are mentally ill, that have cognition deficiencies, that have mental illness, that have delays, that have people that are literally in a coma. I mean, their human life, whether these are born grown human beings or human beings in the womb, you can't put a specific week on when these babies become human because they're human from the start, right? And if you try and put it anywhere else, you're going to exclude human beings that are born and out in the world already. And you're right, they can never explain where that magical spark happens, and it's because it happens the moment you're conceived. I know. Anytime I think of the numbers, it makes me really, really, really sad. And, I think, I know that the foster care system is something that needs to be heavily, heavily worked on. It's very broken. However, when it comes to adoption, especially newborn adoption, as of right now, there are more than twice as many people on the waiting list than there are newborns born in our country, which means we have a shortage of newborns to give to amazing families that have already been pre-approved, right? Why is that? Maybe because we kill more than 1 million babies a year, and I hope one day we're going to get to a point in our society where we look back at this time where to any portion of society abortion was considered acceptable, and we're going to look at it like we look at the Holocaust or slavery. That's my hope, that one day we're going to get there where we look back and we understand that more than 60 million babies that have been killed in the womb is unacceptable. And it is crime against humanity, period. There's absolutely no arguing it, in my opinion, because, right, same. I hope and pray we do. I really do, because that's where we need to be, in my opinion. And, I mean, just the thought of that. I remember in one of his videos, Charlie Kirk got into, he was debating a young college woman about abortion, and she said there was a video of his that he compared abortion to the Holocaust, and that she disagreed because X, Y, or Z. Something about it was uniquely designed to target a specific group or something like that. And Charlie argued back, basically, so it's abortion, and it's newborns in the womb, and, if you're just going on numbers alone, I mean, Lord have mercy, there's a time that's going to come when people are going to wake up and realize, before Roe versus Wade, they told us that abortion was going to be 3 things: safe, legal, and rare. It's not safe, just look at the studies. Legal, questionable now, praise God, they overturned Roe versus Wade. Rare, more than 1 million babies a year, more than 60 million since Roe versus Wade. Just since Roe versus Wade, 60 million. Because that's when we started keeping track, right? 60 million babies. That's insane to think about. And anyone that can justify it. And you got to think, if it's 60 million babies, right, that would mean over 60. What is it, like 61, 62%? I'm bad at math. Because the exceptions only make up to 2%, depending on the study you're looking at, right? So we'll be really generous, and we'll say 55 million babies aborted for convenience. Just convenience. It's crazy. I know. Yeah. We can, kiki and kind of, dig into the like why and the how behind it all, but I agree. I've been following Charlie since he was able to go and sit at a university and just have a little fold out table, and the people would come and talk to him 2 feet away, before he needed security and bulletproof glass and a clear bag policy for people who were coming to have a discussion with him, which is crazy, right? And this is I'm going to do another live soon about how the left is violent, period. They're violent and they want us dead. And if I see one more person say anything along the lines of both sides need to turn down the temperature. The violence is coming from both sides, right? I might lose my mind. Because no, it's not. All you have to look at are people who do something akin to Steven Crowder, to Charlie Kirk, right? Destiny, what's that other guy? There's another liberal guy who does it. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. These people go to college campuses and like they have a bodyguard for looks, right? Like, yeah, that's cute. Steven Crowder, after Charlie Kirk's death, said, "I'm gonna start going back to campuses. I'm gonna get back in there and I'm gonna do this again." He had to spend almost $500,000 on security for his first episode. Huge panels of bulletproof glass, like, you know, over 100,000 on security guards alone, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, the things that he had to do to make it safe for him to be able to go to a college campus and just speak to people is fucking insane to me. Like, what kind of world are we living in America, the greatest and freest country in the world, where you can literally be killed for disagreeing with someone's views? Like, our most fundamental right is the right to free speech. That's our most fundamental right as Americans. Like, we have all the other rights that we have to defend our freedom of speech. And our freedom of speech upholds and bolsters every other right that we have. If we lose our freedom of speech, we lose everything it is to be an American. Period. And we see this all over the world right now. Canada, the UK, other Western countries who are cracking down and dissolving. I mean, the UK never did codify it, which is crazy to me as well, saying as we modeled a lot of our country after England and the UK. Sorry, I heard someone talking. It's crazy that they never codified into law their right to free speech, which was the biggest reason it was able to be taken away like that. But regardless, whether it's codified or not, all these countries that are really destroying the bedrock of their society, in my own personal opinion, I think, and I'll argue all day long, the freedom of speech, which encompasses so much more than just being able to talk how you want, which is what most people think that it is. Oh yeah, that. The Kirk thing is super sus. All the footage I saw of people running away. Yep. We were just talking, Rick, one day, me and Salt, aka Corey, are gonna do a duel and talk about all the conspiracy theories because it's crazy. I completely agree. It's insane. Absolutely insane. But yeah, I do. I tend to believe, I know a lot of people think the Second Amendment right is our most important right so that we can protect ourselves from a tyrannical government, right? But in today's day and age, I think we're seeing more and more so every day how more than any other right, our freedom of speech and our freedom to be able to say anything, and anyone could go viral. Anyone could say something so powerful that millions upon millions of people share it around, right? And get their message. Anyone, you, me, it doesn't have to be some big YouTuber or a news platform or anything like that. Any everyday Joe could say something that resonates with so many people that it could really make a change. Look at a lot of these pundits and social media activists and stars, if you will, that have created real change because they've used their voice instead of a weapon, for example, right? Yeah. Yeah, that was very strange. And the way that the one guy who Candace already commented on, and he apparently made a whole statement as well, how he just immediately grabbed the camera. And the excuse was like, everybody, basically, people are taking hats. We didn't want them to take this, right? But I don't know. The whole thing is just very. We'll talk and we'll make a little outline of some things to go over because I think there's a lot of very questionable things happening. And the people like Tucker Carlson has also been one to come out and what is her name? Megyn Kelly. That's her name. I had to think really hard for a second. But Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens. That's about the only three people that I've seen really putting themselves in some kind of precarious position when they already have a following. Like, all these people keep saying they want, like, clicks or clout off of Charlie Kirk's name. Like, these people are already famous. You know, like, these people are already well known. They don't need the clicks. And in fact, if there is some type of conspiracy or cover up that's happening and they publicly come out to try and, you know, show people this or prove this in some way, then they're putting a target on their back as well. So, like, to all the people who were like, they want clicks and views, I'm like, more than 20 million, which Candace has personally, more than Tucker Carlson, who has like millions of subscribers and I'm sure millions or billions of clicks. Megyn Kelly, she's up and come. Like, all of these people are very well known people before any of this, and you can always tell a psyop when they start to trash the character of somebody close to that person, right? Who's coming out against it. The way that they have attempted to assassinate Candace Owens' character after everything with the Daily Wire, after Charlie Kirk stuck by her side. Everybody likes to say they haven't spoken in years, but we all have eyes and ears. We saw that Candace Owens went on tour with Charlie Kirk in 2024. Yet they haven't seen each other in 6 years. Make this make sense, right? When these people start to lie and tell us not to believe our lying eyes and ears, you know something's afoul. Had they come out and said, you know what? I don't agree with this. I think let them do their job. If I was one of those guys at Turning Point and I wasn't involved, but I didn't appreciate what Candace was doing, first of all, she said from the beginning, one of two people could stop her, and that was her husband and Erica Kirk. And all it would take is a phone call, and she would shut the heck up, basically. Obviously, she hasn't gotten that. Beyond that, if I was one of those guys at Turning Point, or anyone else that doesn't agree with Candace Owens, I would say, listen, I'm not going to attack her. They had some type of relationship. I'm not sure the depth or breadth of it. We all knew that they did. We could all see that they were connected for many years. I don't appreciate the way that she's acting right now. However, I know Charlie cared for her, so I will respect her. I'm only going to talk about this once. I'll address it one time. I don't appreciate the things she's saying. I'm going to let the authorities do their jobs, but I won't besmirch her in honor of Charlie. That's how I would have handled it. Instead, here they come smearing her all over the place and making up lies that they haven't seen or heard from her in years. That's just crazy. You know? Crazy. Maybe. If it's up to Candace, I'll tell you what. Well, no. I mean, I didn't watch her show yesterday. I know she'd gone on vacation, but I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, you might be right. Here's my thing, though. If this is some type of conspiracy, right? A lot of people have compared it to JFK, for example. And people are like, oh, they could have never done something like that. It was broad daylight, da-da-da-da. Yet we see, you know, technology, and there's been lots of, you know, there's a lot different now than there was when JFK was killed. I think they really messed up by doing this publicly in a place where they knew hundreds of cameras were going to be on there. I think, see, yeah, a lot of people compared it to that. I see the parallels. There were so many eyes, there were so many cameras. I don't know that they will be able to get away with it quite as much. Jinx everyone. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think there's some level of fuckery. I don't know what level that is. I mean, the things that have already been proven to be like weird or off, like how he supposedly did 3 wardrobe changes just while he was on the roof for 24 seconds. Explain this to me. And see, and that's the thing. When people create a narrative, they always want to make it more complicated than it would ever be in real life. How he took the gun up, right, and instead of just throwing it back in his backpack, he assembled it, disassembled it, and jumped back down with them. Like, all of these things, people always add more detail and make things more complicated when they don't need to do that. And that's one of the ways that we know something's up, you know? Random dude in a boom, yeah, book depository. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's also insane. Yeah, that's true. We barely hear about it now. That's also very true. That's very true. And it's crazy how that happens, that we are so quick to forget things, and that's like the nature of the news cycle in our world today. Something terrible will happen tomorrow, and today will be forgotten. However, I think a lot of people, like the people who were making fun of Charlie Kirk, I think they underestimated Charlie Kirk's impact on everyday people like you and me. Charlie Kirk was always someone who spoke to everyday people, who spoke to the youth. When all of these politicians and all these other pundits ignored the youth, like they don't have anything to offer us so far, you know, etc., Charlie went in and gave them something to relate to and hope for. And, you know, even younger people, because he was such a decent man, godly man that spoke well, that had good values. I mean, this is someone who even, you know, touched and came across to people even below voting age. There are tons of children who have made videos, been seen at his memorials, etc., right? He touched so many people, and I think there's a lot of people who underestimated just how far his reach went, you know? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Chrissy's becoming reality. I'm telling you what, makes sense common again. But yeah, I think there's that. I think, I definitely, I will die on the hill of we're better off now than we would have been with Kamala Harris. 1,000%. Nothing can make me go back on that. However, Trump lost me in a large way about this Epstein shit. There's a lot of people I know, even people that I'm close with, who think there's a reason, you know, there's good reasoning, just wait, he's working on it, we don't understand, we haven't seen it, there's other moving parts. A lot of people believe a lot of things. I don't care. I know it's going to be names that all of us know on that list. It's probably going to be senators, presidents, movie stars, people we would never expect. But I think we need to know that. And I think we deserve to know that. And I really don't give a damn for any of the excuses. We can handle it. You know, give us what we want. You ran on it. You told us you were going to give us a list. We demanded the list. And now, apparently it's gone. Which, we've waited so long, maybe it is. Maybe the whole list got burnt to the ground by now because it's been frickin' years. And I don't know. But I know that Pam Bondi, Trump, and JD all confirmed there was a list. And then there's not. And it's a conspiracy from the left. So, Trump lost me a lot on that. I would really like to see him recover that in some way. Because he really lost a lot of points, I feel, with a lot of people. You know. Right. Yeah, right. And I still, like I said, I still believe we're better off than we would have been with Kamala. Period. I think, you know, if nothing else, she wasn't even elected. They just pushed her out in front of Joe because he was, in fact, mentally declining, like the entire country knew for years, you know, and they denied and gaslit us about. So, I don't know. I still think we're better off than we would have been with Kamala. And he's not done yet. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like his term's over tomorrow. He's still got time. And, uh, I've given it to a few of my friends. I don't know everything. I don't see all the moving parts. Maybe there's a world in which he cannot release it right now for reasons I don't understand. And I will give him some sort of benefit of the doubt because everybody's like, oh, well, Trump's on it, that's why. Trump's on it, that's why. Well, then why didn't the fucking Democrats release it, dumbass? Here they are trying to indict him, or not indict him. Really? Wow. Fire him. The word just flew right out of my head. Impeach him. Good Lord. I can't English today. They try to impeach him twice. They're using lawfare to prosecute him. Somebody tried to murder him. They're trying all these things to get rid of him. All they would have ever had to do is release that list if his name was on it. I'm telling you, they think the left really believes because they support pedophiles that the right would still have voted for him. The right would have eaten him alive. We don't stand for that shit. Absolutely not. Unlike them who want to take pedophiles, get rid of it since it's an offensive term, and turn it into minor attracted persons. But yeah, I don't think Trump's on there. I don't think he's on there in the sense, we know apparently he flew to the island. He never denied that. He said they were friends for some time. Both rich, fine. The weird, fine. I don't know that he's on there. Hope and pray he's not on there in the sense of actually diddling kids. I truly hope not. I don't believe that has anything to do with why it's not released, because all the Democrats would have had to do is release it. Like, there's his name. And Kamala would have won in a landslide. Not even because she had anything good to offer, but because everyone would have been so angry with Trump and so disappointed, no one would have voted for him. Like, she would have won. If he was on that list, all they would have had to do is release it. And they didn't. So I don't believe he's on it in that form. Anyway, as in he's actually been diddling kids. But I would really like him to redeem himself and give us a list. Well, he did. There are some JFK files that got released. There are like thousands of pages of JFK files. So he at least partially kept that promise. I haven't read through them. I don't know how much would really be left at this point, though. Like how many documents are going to be left at this point that support any type of conspiracy with it being so long. That's also possible. I believe the type of people we are going to find on that list could easily have him taken out and his whole family. Maybe he fears for his family. I think they've already tried to kill him multiple times. I feel like that's fair. I feel like I'm the type of person, and I try to base what I expect from others off the loosest version of how I would act. I would still release it. If I was in danger and I had his money and I had his resources, I would find a way to keep my family safe, even if it was a bunker underground for 20 years, and I would release it. But that's me. That's me. And, yeah, right, and that's exactly it. Everyone in power on the left and the right are ultimately in cohesion. They're colluding with each other far more than they will ever be supporting us, because they can get us to fight with each other, right? And ignore the fuckery that they're doing because we're more concerned with ourselves. I don't trust any of the politicians. I don't trust anyone in politics, basically, at all, period. Because I think, especially when you get to a certain level, I think there are people who make it their mission to compromise those people to be able to control them. Compromise for control. Which is ultimately what something like the Epstein list would be, right? It would be his way of pulling strings on people, and all he'd have to say is, well, you're on the list. You better do what the fuck I say, right? Oh, see, I haven't really looked into it. That's shitty. Really shitty. Oh, no, that's not a coincidence. welcome and hello. I actually have a short on my channel about that, and how disappointed I am with all the Republicans that voted against it, which were all but two. Um, which I think there's also something to be said about that. The fact that um, all but two Republicans seem to disagree with that is kind of weird. But yes, on the day that Kirk died, distraction, and people didn't know for days that the vote happened in Congress to table the vote to release the Epstein files. And how weird, right? Kind of, distraction. That's what that was, because I 1000% agree, not a coincidence. Timing's too good. Or bad. I would like to believe that they wouldn't do that just for a form of distraction, but that's something that's gotten very little coverage since, because people have been focused on, I mean, even still now, certain aspects of losing Charlie Kirk, memorials, etc. So that's still something that hasn't gotten a lot of press, which I am actually surprised by, because anybody on the left would only have to say, look at this. Here's a huge list of Republicans that voted against releasing the Epstein files. What the hell is really going on? Because I know I was severely pissed off and disappointed in all but two Republicans that day. And I sure did. I made a whole short about that, like, what the hell are we doing, y'all? Get it together. So, no. I don't think it was a coincidence. And that's really shitty. Really shitty. There's been a lot going on. Sometime soon, I'm going to do a, in the comments, you might see he'll comment here in a moment, Salt River Squirters, aka Corey. We're going to come on and we're going to do an episode, a dual live, about all the conspiracies of Charlie Kirk. And that's definitely going to be one of my points. Magically, here's this vote that happens, and almost unanimously, and that's another thing. It's not like 50% from one party, 50% from another. It was all the Democrats and two Republicans. That's weird. Like, when do we ever see a vote that, like, black and white in Congress? Like, that's also weird. That's also a little bit sus, but, what do I know? I'm just a little me. But welcome. Glad to see you. You seem like the type that likes to put on a tinfoil hat from time to time. I think you'd like it around here. Here we are, hour and a half. I said I was going to go 48 minutes. I'm like, ugh. Thank you. We'll do it. We'll do it, Corey. Thank you so much. I always enjoy having you in here and catching you when I can. Thank you so much for coming, and everybody else. Thank you for stopping in. We'll come back soon. I won't promise tomorrow, but I'm trying, okay? I'm trying. We've got some new abortion studies to go through sometime soon, some new information, some new numbers that I find relevant. So maybe we'll do that tomorrow. If not, maybe Friday. Thank you, Rick. And Catachronics, thank you for coming in and stopping in. It was nice to see you. And our friends, of course, we had Ron, and we had Brother Sackcloth in here, and a few other people. I know Justin was in here at some point. He might still be lurking. I know sometimes he just lurks. Thank you to everyone who stopped in. Love you so much. Hope you have a great day. And remember, until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Okay?